Hey, how's it going? I want to tell you why I chose iOS and why I decided to stay. Because a few weeks ago I almost quit. But before I get into that, why did I decide on getting into iOS in the first place? Well, I'd learned HTML and CSS, doing web development, and then it came to the point where I knew I was ready to learn a back-end language, whether it be PHP, Python, Ruby, or JavaScript. I actually learned a little bit of all of them, but I never really. I kept changing. I learned some JavaScript, then some PHP, then Ruby, then Python, and I kept hearing different things about each language. A lot of people were poo-pooing PHP, and some were saying go with Python, some Ruby, and I watched a video one morning and it was an unboxing video. Now, I always thought that iOS would be too difficult and too time consuming to get into. And I watched this unboxing video though, because I was trying to do Ruby on my PC and it was a nightmare, Ruby on Rails. And so I thought if I got a Mac, it's Unix based, I'd be able to learn whatever language I want. This unboxing video, it just made me fall in love with the Apple product. The way it's designed, even just the way they box it. It's a whole experience watching. It was an experience watching this unboxing video. And the machine, I think it was a Retina MacBook Pro. It was just a beautiful thing to look at. And I decided I'm going to learn iOS. I'm going to be an iOS developer. And so I set off upon that journey. But there were other things that were causing me to lean towards mobile development. Now we have Wix and Squarespace. These are website builders that allow people who don't know code, it allows them to build websites, and they're getting better and better every year. And even as a web developer, I would make websites for people and then they'd want to do it themselves. And they can do it themselves to a degree. They end up breaking it a lot of the times. But there's this perception of web development that you can do it yourself. You can do it yourself, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be designed well. This is where people run into problems. But small businesses, they are attempting, and some successfully, to do it themselves. So the writing was on the wall to a degree. Whether Wix and Squarespace will get so good that it will take over the front end development sphere is another thing. But to be honest, as my front-end web development career has progressed, I've come into contact with businesses who don't want to touch the website. They just want to pay you to get on with it. So anyhow, that's why I chose iOS. And I nearly gave up a couple of weeks ago. I was talking to a client of mine who is interested in having me build an app for them, and I said, look, I don't know if I want to do iOS. And I sat down over the weekend and I searched for other web developers who had moved into iOS. I wanted to see what they thought. And someone made a very important point. Nobody likes to feel like a beginner again. No one likes to feel like a noob and have to struggle to do the most basic of things, which is where I'm at right now. It feels sometimes like it's that feeling of being a noob again. In web development, I can just get on with it, and if I need to learn something new, I know enough of the foundation that it's not really a struggle to learn something new, whether it be JavaScript, jQuery, or PHP, which is the languages I deal in most. So just knowing that someone else has walked this path of having to, they've experienced being really good at something and then they're having to be a noob, knowing that other people have gone through that too, it was enough to make me think, you know what, I'm going to stick with this. I've built a good foundation. My first app is nearly built. I'm going to keep going. And I've watched the keynote of WWDC and just fallen in love with being a part of Apple. They're going on a journey. I'm going to go on that journey with them wherever it takes me. You know, so be it. Let's enjoy the ride for as long as it lasts. And that brings me to the next thing, is the Apple ecosystem. It's an exciting time right now to be a part of this ecosystem. And I'm sticking with native development. I don't think native development's going to go anywhere. Okay? Hybrid development, they've got their thing going on, and that's going to progress and get better, no doubt. But I don't think native development's going anywhere. And I think if you learn Swift, then you can move into other areas as technology evolves and expands to encompass other things, the Internet of Things. I won't get into that on this video, but so there you have it. That's why I got into it, because of the writing being on the wall, so to speak, with the web builders right now. But I think there's always going to be a market for front-end web development regardless. And that's why I stayed. And it's okay to be a noob. You just got to take it step by step and do it daily, build up a momentum. The other thing as well is, I think you know where you stand within the Apple ecosystem, developing with Apple. Whereas in web development, it seems to be going in all other different kinds of directions. JavaScript, especially, there's a new framework that comes out every 2 weeks almost. And so there's a lot to keep up with in web development. Web development is very, very broad. You need to know something about everything, especially if you're a freelancer. You need to know something about systems admin, setting up servers, maintaining them. You need to know a little bit of back-end, front-end, design, SEO, UX, UI. With iOS, there's more depth to it. It's not as broad. That's not to say that you don't need to know anything about servers or UX and design, but definitely the experience is that of more depth and less breadth. And so I know where I stand with iOS. With web development, you can be using some framework, but it doesn't work with that, and that doesn't agree with that kind of server. And again, not to say that you don't have challenges around those kind of things with iOS, but it's definitely more solid, I think it's fair to say, than web development. And look, I'm not going to lie, the potential of earning more money was attractive. That is one of the aspects that attracted me to the platform, but it's not the only thing. And actually, I'm beginning to get more excited about solving problems than the code or the money. I think that's one of the things it's important not to take your eye off of that. Yes, the tooling, the programming, the reward, the financial reward is great, but let's not lose focus on the fact that what are we actually doing? We're solving problems for people. So let's get excited about that. And the thought of that, it just is a new horizon for me. It's opening up a new frontier of how do we use the technology? How do we leverage our skills to really delight someone and make a difference in their lives? Because when that happens, it creates this kind of energy feedback loop. It enriches you and gives you more energy and passion, and it's enriching them, and it's this other new dimension. And so on that note, I'm going to leave it there. Hope you got something from this. Take it easy. Peace.